Hey Brandon, do you still play that Pokemon Go app?
I have had it uninstalled for over 2 years now.
Oh. What's the most recent game you've played from Pokemon?
Pokemon Go.
Oh shit. Well,
My lifestyle doesn't warrant me to have these luxuries.
I only ask because what are the things that you use to catch the Pokemon with? I forget.
Pokeballs?
You want to Pokemon balls?
No. Good morning, boys and girls. Sometimes you need to wake up bright and early, have yourself a cup of coffee, talk about some nerdy shit, and then go on with your day. It's time for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys with your hosts, Mark and Brandon.
All right. So disgusting jokes aside, something fun that I learned recently is that Pokemon's actually coming up on the Pokemon the first movie, which for those of you that are old enough to remember was the one that had Mewtwo, where he fought Mew and Ash turned to rocks and everyone cried because Pikachu cried.
Or if you're curious, they have remade that movie under a different title now.
Shut the fuck up! That movie doesn't exist.
It does exist.
No, it doesn't.
You don't get to cherry pick the fandom.
It does not exist in the Pokemon movie canon. It's a completely different canon. It doesn't real.
I even know that it exists.
Brandon, it doesn't. It's not. No. That's not what I'm getting at. Shut up.
You don't get to choose.
So Pokemon the first movie is turning 21 this year.
Yes.
In November. So that's fucking crazy. Mewtwo, for his first appearance, actually with a role in one of the shows or anything, that Mewtwo is now turning 21, which means we can drink with that bitch.
Mewtwo has never led me to believe that he would be a good drinking buddy.
Oh, come on. When has Mewtwo ever done anything bad in his life? That's what I thought. You can't think of one time.
Well, I mean, I did see Detective Pikachu.
That was such a good movie. And interestingly enough, unlike the more recent animated films, I think since Pokemon I Choose You, Detective Pikachu actually exists within the cartoon canon.
Fair enough.
Which is weird.
I really liked Detective Pikachu as well.
Oh, I did too. I absolutely fucking adored seeing those Pokemon in live action. Was amazing. I think I did a full review video on my YouTube channel of this already, so I don't want to go too deep into that.
Fair enough.
What? Fuck it.
Damn it.
Nobody that listens to that or listens to our podcast knows what my channel is. But no. So here's the thing that I find.
Wait, you have another channel?
My YouTube channel.
I know.
You fucker. The thing that I find interesting about Pokemon is that they are constantly changing and updating and adding new features to the games,
Sure.
One thing that I wish they would do better is the Pokedex.
Not make Pokemon that look like fucking household appliances.
They've been doing that since Gen 1, buddy. As much as you might hate, as much as you might hate on the new stuff, they've been doing it since the beginning.
Okay, but even when they were doing it from the beginning, they weren't being so blatant about it.
There was a fucking Pokeball as one of their Pokemon.
I think that really just came down to not being creative enough.
I mean, that's all it is. And nowadays,
I mean, look, I don't even need to get into, what was his name? Voltorb
and Electro and Voltorb.
Yeah, there we go. Voltorb. And I never liked them anyways. I always ignored them. But they had such a prominent feature in Pokemon Snap that it was kind of hard to ignore once that game came out.
That's fair.
But it was not nearly as bad as a chandelier or a set of keys.
Brandon, you've had this exact same complaint in our first episode.
That's okay. I will never let this go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. I gotta be honest. I agree that Klefki was a stupid design. I don't understand why
I
somebody would want.
fucking hate the name.
I don't know why anybody would think that a fucking set of janitor keys would be a good idea. I will say though, Chandelure is fucking amazing. It's a ghost fire type, two of the best types in the world. And I think that it worked out great.
Okay.
Now, I will say that there are a lot of stupid-ass designs.
Yes. Yeah, there are.
But I wanted to get more in-depth on how the Pokedex is done. Because here's the thing that pisses me off is, like, for example, when you played Gen 1, you had the first 150 Pokemon. It made sense. There was some kind of linear chronological order, right?
Sure.
Then you jumped into Gen 2, which you kept the original 150 as the original 150, but then you had pre-evolutions and alternate evolutions for a bunch of Pokemon, which remained in the later numbering, right?
Sure.
So, like, I'm talking, you had Eevee at number 131, I believe, or that might be Magikarp, one of the two. But then you had Umbreon and Espeon were in, like, the 220s, which to me is frustrating because, like, when I'm looking into Pokedex, I want to just be able to look at the evolutions all together and not have to scroll through 800, almost 900 Pokemon, you know?
So you're saying they've moved further down the line?
No, what they've done is, so because they introduce EVs or the evolutions in separate generations, you have to go to those separate generations Pokedex segments in order to find all of them. Because there's, you know, the original 4 EV came from Gen 1. You had Eevee, Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. And then Gen 2, you got Umbreon and Espeon. Gen 4 gave you Glaceon and Leafeon. And then, like, Gen 6 gave you Sylveon, which everyone was just such a fan of Sylveon. So it's more of just like instead of having to go to Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 4, and Gen 6 Pokedexes, if they just put all of the EVs together in one place, like at the beginning when Gen 1 Pokemon were introduced, you know what I'm trying to say there?
I think so.
Good. Because there's other Pokemon that deserve that too. And like, I don't know. I also think that there's a lot more opportunity for them to have more typings. And I know that a lot of people are already like, well, they already have enough typings. They don't need to add more. But
typings as in like fairy types and grass and stuff.
Ooh, somebody's making popcorn.
I mean, I don't know about any food type Pokemon, but that just seems real fucked up.
They have food type Pokemon.
Oh, God, do they?
They have ice cream cones. I'm not shitting you. They have fucking ice cream cone Pokemon.
I forgot that they did, and I really was happy that I forgot. Now you're just making me angrier about this whole dumb Pokemon thing.
No, okay, but hear me out on this. Hear me out on this, okay?
I'm trying.
I love how angry you're getting right now. I'm
just annoyed.
I don't love that you're annoyed. I just love how, like, what it is that's frustrating you.
So you're fine with me being angry, but once I'm annoyed, you're like, that's not nearly as fun.
Yeah. But so check, like they've added since Gen 1, they've added 3 new types, I think. That sounds right.
Since Gen 1?
Yeah, so between Gen 2 and Gen 8, we've only added 3 new types, right?
All right, well, that's not too bad.
Right. What I'm saying is there's more opportunity there. So
okay.
they added Dark type, they added Steel type, and they added Fairy, which I still don't understand how the fuck a fairy kills a dragon. I don't get that
magic.
Type. Maybe. And but more so, like, I get why they made fairy type for a lot of the Pokemon they gave fairy type to, because they've tended to be the normal type Pokemon that they were just a normal type. Like you had Clefairy, Clefable, the Jigglypuff line, a bunch of those kind of things. So it made sense to give them something other than just being these basic ass pink puffy Pokemon.
Okay.
So they made the basic bitch fairy type. Honestly, I feel like that something that would benefit a lot of the Pokemon is to make a bird type.
Okay. Wait, what?
A bird type.
Is there not a bird type?
There is a flying type, but here's the problem: is there's a lot of flying Pokemon that the type advantage just doesn't make, or the type disadvantage that they have just doesn't make sense, right? So
I mean, I guess.
let me further expand on what I'm doing here.
Okay.
I think that Pokemon should get rid of flying type altogether.
Okay, fair enough.
Replace it with 2 new typings. Bird.
Okay.
You got bird, and then you've got wind, right?
Okay.
So wind would be for those Pokemon that, like, yes, they technically do have the ability to fly, but they more manipulate the wind around them.
Right.
So there's a lot of bug types that do that. There's even a legendary type that does that. But the problem is you've got so many birds that are just normal type and flying type.
I also don't like that they have a normal type.
Exactly. By adding some new typings, they would take away the necessity to have a normal type entirely.
I mean, it made sense when Pokemon first started to have the normal type.
Right.
You have to have like a baseline, I guess.
Right. Like, I guess it makes sense. It makes sense for some things. Like Eevee, it makes sense for. Rattata, it makes sense for. But there's a lot of things it just doesn't make sense for, especially in the case with most of the bird Pokemon. You've got Pidgey. Pidgey
Right.
is a normal flying type. Scratch out both of those. Just make it a fucking bird type. It makes it that in and of itself sums up what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then you've got like other Pokemon that are like hybrid types, like flying fire. You could have a bird fire type. It still works just as good. It tells you exactly what you're going to get here. Get your shit together, Pokemon. Another one. I would love to see a food type. I know that it's a very limited type.
I'm not okay with it.
It's very limited type, and that's okay. It would be like fairy. There's not very many fairy type Pokemon out there, but they have an entire type just for the fairies. Why not get them a type specifically for the food types? Like Vanillish and all that shit. Hold on, I have something I need to pull up real quick.
But keep it in your pants.
It is in my pants. It's just girthy. And then you can argue with me on this one. I feel like it would be a good idea to add something that's like a cyber or like a cybernetic type,
Well, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, you have a electric type.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's
also, I mean, what the magnet fucker?
Magnemite.
Thank you. And then their evolution.
Yeah, exactly. And because he's got a bunch of evolutions. So my thing is,
I mean, you have electricity and magnetism that clearly exists.
And you've also
if you have a magic, and is there a magic type?
No, but I really think that there should be like
but they're psychic and ghost types.
There's psychic, there's ghost types.
Which I'm just like, why not introduce I mean, you've got all the other things dancing around it. Just come out with
with magic, arcane, something like that,
Or I was going to say, like, even if you had like a tech type.
Exactly, like a tech or like a techie type would work, because like you have a Pokemon that was introduced in Gen 1 that was literally a man-made Pokemon that only existed in cyberspace.
Which one was that?
Porygon.
Oh my God, you're right.
Porygon's entire line exclusively exists in cyberspace, according to a lot of the mythology. There's also in Gen 6 one of the legendaries, or was it Gen 5? X and Y, whatever X and Y was. Zygarde, it's a dragon, but it's a digital dragon.
Okay.
Like there's like, and it would if you take just the cyber, you could eliminate a lot of the like electric steel types. So, like you've got Magnemite. Instead of making an electric steel type, just make it a cyber or whatever other thing you want to call it, and you have the opportunity to add another type to it if you wanted to. Also, speaking of niche Pokemon types, there should be a typing for space, because like outer space.
Okay.
Because like if you think about it, like there's been rumors for years that the Clefairy line and the Jigglypuff line both come from space. You've also got in Gen 3 alone, there's think 4 Pokemon that come from space specifically. I think it would just be, it would be, again, it'd be one of those niche little segments that would work. Also in Sun and Moon, they introduced the Ultra Beast, which came from like outer space as well. Like it just, it makes sense if you really think about it.
If you really think about it, if you really get into it.
But what do I know? I'm not a game developer.
Well, I mean, you know more than I do.
I'm sorry. That's something I've started to say on any of my Racks and Plays stuff. Like
oh, that's disgusting.
If I say something like, if I'm complaining about the way a game plays, I'm like, what do I know? I'm not a game developer.
That's gross.
Originally, I didn't register that I was saying it as often as I was, and as soon as it clicked, I just started saying it twice as much just to dick around with it. I mean, I still think it'd be great to have a food type. I mean, and here's what would be really funny to do with it. Like, obviously, like there's those very obvious like foodies, like Vanillish and Swirlix, which is like cotton candy, I think.
Uh-huh.
Just because there's some Pokemon that just suck so much ass. Right. Name I don't know, like Pidgey as bird food. Just as a Pokemon that people commonly eat.
Just like, hey, we're having quail tonight, and it's just a Pidgey.
It's just a diced up Pidgey. Hey, has anybody seen Cheapers? He's been gone for a couple of days now. Man. Oh, hey, will you grab me some of that leftover quail from the fridge? We're bad people.
I mean, you brought it up.
I did. You're right. And actually, this is one I think that would, as a musician, I feel like you would think would be a pretty good idea, and that would be to have like a Sonic type. Not like Sonic the Hedgehog, just to be clear.
Like a sound wave?
Like sound, yeah. Because there were a lot of Pokemon more recently that are like their whole shtick is just being sound type, or like is based around sound.
Well, I mean, there have been Pokemon that have like screech attacks and stuff.
Well, no, like, okay, so in Gen 3 they introduced a Pokemon called Whismur, who evolved into Loudred, who evolved into Exploud. Loudred can be seen in Detective Pikachu at the underground like fighting thing. They're the ones that are like handling the stereo systems. Like that entire line, their whole thing is related to sound. The Togepi line's kind of a similar thing. Chimecho's family is all like their wind chimes and shit. So like again, it's a very niche group of Pokemon, but like you honestly, if you think about like the way that sound can affect things in real life and apply it to the Pokemon world, this type of thing would definitely be something that can cause issues for a lot of the overpowered types again. Like, you know, you got Steel type who has very, very few like natural enemies. I don't want to say it like that, but that's the fact of the matter is if you had vibrations running through a Steel type coming from a sound type Pokemon, it would cause some serious issues with it, you know?
You could cause some structural damage.
Exactly. And then there are obvious like inversions to that, like things that would have an advantage over it. Like, you know, if you have a ground type, you can use that to kind of slow down or even stop the sound waves that are being thrown at it. Or a dark type, you know, the only thing, actually, I think dark types would be a huge disadvantage now that I'm thinking about it, because fucking bats, man.
Oh my fucking God, I hate this I will never buy a Windows computer again.
What happened this time?
Every time, like, you bring up to show me your screen, it drops down into the activity window, and I have to go in and open it again.
I do hate Windows. I need to get, but I also hate Apple.
Windows is, like, seriously, they have had some really great, I won't buy Apple. I hate Apple.
Apple's the fucking worst.
It just infuriates me because every once in a while, like, Windows will put out good programs, and then they have this dumb rudimentary shit that just like makes you just want to smash your computer against your knee.
Yeah, you're not wrong. All right. So, changing gears just a little bit. So they've announced the release of Final Fantasy, or I shouldn't say they've announced the release, but Final Fantasy 14, I think, is the most recent one. Is that right?
I Boy, you just are jumping from one topic that I don't know about one topic that I don't know much about to another topic I know even littler about.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Okay. Anyway, this is just a quick off. I just have one thing to say about it, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
So Final Fantasy 15 is the most recent one. I just double checked it, which means that they are 15 away from Final Fantasy 30. And you know, with Final Fantasy, they don't use numbers; they use Roman numerals, right?
Okay.
So I swear to God, if when Final Fantasy XXX comes out, we don't get some fucking hardcore graphic fuck scenes, I'm gonna riot.
I'm gonna call Gamergate on this conversation.
Okay, hold on, Brandon. Let me just share with you real quick. Oh yeah. I don't know what Gamergate means. I know I've heard it before, but I don't know what it means.
It's just the sexualization of women and then just dudes just justifying it and being pieces of shit.
Okay, cool. So exactly what I'm doing. Do you see the picture I'm sharing with you?
Yes, I see her.
Yeah. Look how beautiful she is.
Sure.
Now imagine that
Oh, no.
in HD porno style.
I mean, I am pretty sure that there are enough websites you can find exactly what you're looking for.
Let's find out right now. Oh, I was just kidding. I didn't, oh. There were a lot more. I turned off the safety filter and good God.
Why do you have a safety filter?
Because I'm a good, wholesome boy. I'm an ordained minister, motherfucker.
And right, anybody who's ordained and in the ministry never touched a small little boy or anything like that.
Okay, see, do you realize what you just did was implied that I have molested children? You realize that's what you just did.
I'm sorry. Look, your ordained is not the same ordained as somebody who actually is ordained. You just went and took a computer course, a little survey test, and they're like,
no, I didn't even do that.
And then all of a sudden, on the computer screen, a little JPEG of Jesus with his arms opening up and clouds pouring in behind him says, "Welcome, my child. Lead my flock."
Oh, that's how many $5 bills you can fit between those.
What? How many?
I'm sorry. I got distracted. I was looking at boobies. How do I get out? How do I close that? Oh, God. I got all the pop-ups now. Okay. Brandon.
Yes.
Since I took two topics that you knew nothing about, albeit it was
Are you going to have me bring up a topic that you know nothing about too? Because
I'm going to just say pick a topic. You pick whatever topic you want to talk about, and we will talk about it.
I kind of want to hear about these weird fucked up dreams you had.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. All right, so for the first time in a long time, I'm actually fucking exhausted while we record. Usually we wait till about...
It's true.
We usually wait till like later at night to record because that's when our schedules actually fucking line up. So we're recording tonight. It's around 7:30 my time, around 8:30 Brandon's time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm exhausted.
You've been up since 3 in the morning.
Basically, since 3 in the morning. And the reason sucks dick.
Uh-huh.
So I've recently started having night terrors again, which I haven't had those in a long time. Now, as Brandon knows, I'm a lucid dreamer. I've worked on that for years to be able to do that. And it's oftentimes quite fun. I very much enjoy doing it. Other times, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
So last night was one of those not so much kind of nights. And here's why. I'll set the stage for you. I am lucid dreaming.
Okay.
And then I woke up. Not really. There's more to the lucid dream.
I was going to say, you son of a bitch.
So I
Leave
was
me dangling off a fucking cliff here.
yeah. So it was one of those dreams that picks up in the middle of events that are occurring, right?
Right.
So I was in the middle of an event of a horror film, basically. You know what the you know the terminology for the like the last girl when you're referring to horror film, right?
Which?
The last girl? No, not it's
I
not
don't.
so the term for when they say the last girl, it's usually referring to the last survivor in the horror
Oh,
film.
I thought you were talking about a movie called The
No, no,
Last
no. I'm
Girl.
sorry.
I
That
was
was my
like, are
bad.
you thinking about Gone Girl or?
No, 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 not Gone Girl. So anyway, for some reason, I was the last girl in this story.
Let's get to the real question. How big are the knockers?
I was a little preoccupied with other things that were going on. So at the point that I joined this dream server, because it very much felt like I joined a game about 3/4 of the way through.
Almost like you're jumping in. Like, let's say you were playing that Friday the 13th game and you just jumped into a match midway through.
That's
and
exactly what it felt like.
Running through, tearing up shit, and you're like, oh, God.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Why do I have this gas can in my hand? Where's the fucking car? What am I supposed to do?
Am I Tommy?
And then you look down and you're like, oh, no, I'm not Tommy.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is I wake up, or I'm rephrase that. I'm there. Just I'm asleep. I'm there. And I am in a room with about 8 other people, most of which are dead at this point, and fucking Freddy Krueger. So I've seen every I've seen every Nightmare on Elm Street movie that's been made. I know that when Freddy Krueger's in your dream, that's bad news.
Yeah,
I've had 1 or 2 Freddy Krueger dreams in my life, and every time I wake myself up in the middle of it.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't do it this time.
Uh-oh.
I could not fucking wake up.
You couldn't pull yourself out?
I couldn't pull myself out of it this time.
You're literally just in Inception waiting for the car to hit so you'll end up waking up.
I've never seen Inception, but I'll agree with you on that.
You haven't seen Inception?
No, I've never seen Inception.
I would love to watch that with you and see what you think.
Cool. So what it ended up, and here's the thing, is like I was morbidly curious, right? Because like again, I lucid dream all the time. I know how it works. I know how to get myself out of said dreams. This is the first time I couldn't just force myself awake. So as I'm sitting there and Freddy's going from person to person, just torturing the shit out of him, a bright light comes off from the right hand side, and the Cenobites walk in. You know those. You know what those are, right, Brandon?
I know what those are. What are they?
You've seen Hellraiser, right?
Oh, yes.
The fucking torture porn.
Yeah.
Those fuckers show up. And like I'm talking like it's like 4 or 5 of them. And Pinhead walks in and basically says like, hey, we're taking over from here. We're going to torture these people. Freddy, you're going back to hell. Which then implies that Freddy Krueger lives in hell and he might be a Cenobite at this point. So while Freddy is arguing,
which would be believable, I'd buy into that.
Absolutely. If
you
I wasn't
dreaming and you bought into it.
I was watching a fucking awesome horror film crossover while I was asleep. It was great. So
you're
again,
like, why have they never done this before?
So again, at this point, I'm like, what the fuck's going to happen next? I don't want to wake up now. And so, of course, Freddy is like, no, this is my shit. And they start fighting. Well, luckily for me, as they're fighting, I managed to get my hand on one of the like torture devices that Freddy's been using, cut myself up. Or out, not up. I didn't cut myself up. And escape, right? And I'm like haul-assing. I'm just like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. And I hear from behind me, Pinhead's yelling like, hey, don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're going to get you eventually. And I was just like, oh, God. And you know how every fucking 80s slasher film has that really fucked up upbeat song that they put at the worst time of the movie?
Oh, sure.
That started playing as I'm running from Pinhead and his homies.
And his homies.
And here's the thing is I know that it's not a song that actually exists in my mind. I know that
Which is pretty impressive.
exactly that my fucking psyche wrote a song that was like 80s upbeat pop and funky and all that shit that doesn't exist, and I don't remember what it was. I wish I did, because fuck, I'd write that shit down. So anyway, so I'm running up, like I have to run up a hill, and like as I'm coming up and over the hill, I come to like a big ass university, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. I can hide somewhere in here. It's so big, they're never going to find me immediately, right? So I get in the building, and doors start shutting. Just all over the campus. Doors start shutting in a specific, and basically like my only way to go is the way that the open doors are allowing me to go.
Gotcha.
And the further I'm going, I'm starting to see like splattered on the wall, like notes from the Cenobites. Like, you know, like humanity is falling, the time has come for the end, just shit like that. And then as I'm starting to finally catch up with the closing doors, like I see the different Cenobites closing the doors on me. So like I see that one whose teeth are always exposed. Behind a couple of them, there's one that's one of the girls that has the open neck wound is one of the ones slamming doors, and the big fat one whose eyes are sewn shut is one of them. And at this point, when I'm like, there is really trashy 80s music, they are closing off every exit I can possibly get to. It's time to wake up. And this time I woke myself up. It worked. I woke up, and I'm just like, fuck this. And as I open my eyes, fuck. My sleep paralysis demon, apparently his pinhead, was just floating above me.
No shit.
And I was just like, this sucks. I don't like this. I need to get the fuck out of this bed right now. So I like, you know, as quickly as I can get myself moving, and grab my phone, go take a big old dump. Like I'm talking like you know when it's like late at night and you don't want to like lose your sleep, and so you leave the lights on, so you're just kind of like stumbling through the darkness.
Sure.
I wasn't fucking with that. I turned on every light on my way to the bathroom.
Sounds
and, like,
about right.
I'm sitting in the bathroom on my phone. I was in there for like 20 minutes, just like on my phone, like on looking at memes and shit. Because I was like that.
I gotta bleach my brain.
Exactly. So I'm sitting there like lights full on, like just chilling, like wanting to forget the shit that I just went through. And so finally I start to nod off again. I'm like, all right, so I could probably just go lay down and just go back to sleep. And it didn't happen. It wasn't so much that I was like scared awake. Like I couldn't, like it had nothing to do with the dreams or anything. For some reason I was just like restless. Like I couldn't get comfortable.
Sure.
So I didn't end up falling asleep again until like 6 o'clock, and then my alarm goes off at 7. So yeah, it was horrible. It was fucking terrible. So
I'm sorry, buddy. That's rough.
It was rough, but again, though, it was a fucking awesome dream. Like up until the point where I was like, "Oh God, I'm gonna die. Like I need to wake the fuck up." It was pretty cool up to that point. That's why I'm tired, Brandon. Do you remember back when we first started? Like we hadn't even decided that we were going to record a podcast that day. We were just talking about the logistics of doing a podcast.
Right.
And you mentioned that you and Jasmine had wanted to go see the Scoob movie, right?
Yes.
Did you guys ever end up seeing it?
No.
Fuck. Oh boy, we jumped all over the place tonight, guys.
As opposed to when we stay on track.
I think there's been one occurrence where that's happened, and it was
for 5 minutes,
and it was our Black Lives Matter episode.
Oh, you're right. We did.
That's the only one we've actually stayed on topic for.
Hey, if there's one that we do stay on topic, on task for, it should be the important ones. Let's be honest. Most of the time, we just bullshit.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Check out our social media on everything. I'm talking like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, OnlyFans, because we have an OnlyFans.
Soon to be
It's
Twitch.
soon to be Twitch. We're figuring out the logistics of that shit. It'll be SR Sleepy Boys, as it always is. Speaking of Twitch, if you want more of just me and my boring ass self, check me out on Twitch. I'm at Raxm Plays, RAKXM, and then the word plays, all one word. Brandon's got some shit that he does on the side. Brandon, why don't you talk
I
about
sure
that?
do. You guys can follow me on Instagram at you can follow my band King Richard and the Gilded Veil. We should have some acoustic stuff coming out pretty soon. Definitely, you know, it's been just crazy trying to navigate through everything, but we definitely have found that doing the acoustic small, just just three of us as opposed to the full band, just for now until things start getting a little bit more normal. You can also follow me and at my whiskey page where I do whiskey reviews with my friend Emiliano and a couple of our other guests that we have come on to do guest tastings with us as well. That channel, that Instagram page is called ATX Whiskey Bros. And that should be, hopefully will be a YouTube channel in the next couple months or so. But we definitely got a lot of cool ideas coming up along that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys real soon. Next week, we're actually having another guest appear on our show, a good friend of ours, Kenobi, and we're really excited for you guys to get to meet him, and we're excited to have him on the show.
It's going to be a blast.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug, little kiss.
Mwah.